Normally designed houses aren't really a big deal when it comes to shape, and most people are just happy with 4 walls and a roof. But some people want a lot more when it comes to their home and will come up with some of the craziest ideas you've ever seen. From houses made entirely from glass to building a house and living under a giant rock, we present you with 10 of the most unusual houses. Shell House. What looks like an alien spacecraft that landed in the middle of the woods is actually a house located in Karuizawa, Japan. The structure also resembles a piece of contemporary art sculpture with its curved surfaces and modern materials. The Shell House, as it's known, is a weekend resort house and is designed to be in sync with the nature that surrounds it. The house's J-shaped main structure gracefully curves around a large fir tree, which creates a centerpiece for the house. Its swirling white concrete and wood panels have floor-to-ceiling windows that gaze out into the rustic environment. Over time, as the trees grow, they will encircle the house, blending it with the scenic wooded area, even more creating a peaceful weekend retreat house. But it's not just a pretty sight, it's a feat of state-of-the-art, efficient technology. The entire mechanical and electrical system in the house is managed by just 3 buttons. A custom-made floor heating system is energy efficient and minimizes the need for heat energy in the house. And exposed concrete was the material of choice, and it's finished with a special sealer to protect it from the humid summers and cold winters of the region. The treated concrete also prevents mold, which is common in woods where humidity is high. The house is truly a work of art, dropped into the middle of serene nature in a remote part of the Japanese woods. Often compared to a Frank Lloyd Wright design, the Shell House respects and incorporates nature in a similar manner as the famed modern architect. The Roundabout House. Instead of lowering your window blinds to shade the sun or opening them to let some sunlight in, what if you could just rotate or lower your house so that it was facing the direction you wanted or shaded from the sun? Prague architect Bohumil Lota has designed a house that does just that. Lota's house is able to move up and down on a shaft and also to rotate in circles, allowing the architect to adjust his window's views at will. The house, when positioned at its lowest point, is actually underground. Lota's mechanism can raise the house up above the ground, which then reveals a circular swimming pool underneath the house on the lower level. The upper level of the house, where the living area is, can then rotate 360 degrees to fully view and appreciate the scenic mountains. 78-year-old Lota built his sci-fi house by hand, and it took him over 20 years to complete the house, beginning in 1981 and finishing in 2002. Habitable Polyhedron. Colombia architect Manuel Villa designed a small house in the backyard of a main house in the suburbs of Bogota. Designed specifically as a play area for parents and young children, the little honeycomb-shaped house looks like it landed in the woods from outer space. Its front deck appears that it has opened away from the main structure, creating the illusion that a side panel of the house opens into the main structure, like a spaceship door. The open wall is made of glass for a panoramic view of the woods, and inside the area can function as a play area, a study, a lounge, a dining room, or even a spare bedroom. The abundance of windows around the honeycomb and the skylight at the top eliminate the need for daytime lighting, and the pod is equipped with solar power for artificial lighting and power. No Windows House. Located at Shanghai's Shuwei waterfront is a standout 4-story concrete house without any windows. The name of this house, however, is the Vertical Glass House. So how does that nickname make any sense, you may ask? The answer is inside the house. The house's textured gray concrete walls give the appearance of a stone slab with no light, like a prison. But the interior of the house is actually filled with light. How is this possible? The light streams in from the skylight at the top of the house, and the floors are made completely of thick glass panels. The house's inhabitants can look all the way up into and through the house's rooms, even the bathroom. The house was intended to be built for meditation. With the enclosed walls and transparent floors, the house positions the inhabitant right in the center, almost floating in the middle of the space, creating a calm and serene place to meditate. The Steel House, Texas. If you're driving through suburban Texas just outside of Lubbock, you might see a multiple-level giant grand piano balancing on the edge of a hill. Or maybe it's a four-legged UFO, or a massive rusty insect. In reality, this is an unconventional home designed and built by sculptor Robert Bruno. Bruno worked on the Steelhouse project from 1973 up until his death in 2008, handcrafting everything with no help from any outside source. The house is truly a work of art, but it was never finished. The interior of the house is wooden, resembling the inside of a tree trunk, and the oddly shaped windows are made of beautiful stained glass. But there are still holes between the floors, and Bruno's plans for the aquarium, a pool, and sculptures of nude models on the walls never materialized. The masterpiece house is kept alive and active by a neighbor and friend of Bruno, who now serves as the building's manager and tour guide. Although many people have urged him to finish Bruno's job, he intends for the steel house to remain the same, to honor Bruno's wishes. Living under a rock. Benito Hernandez and his family of 9 have spent 30 years living under a rock. The family literally makes their home beneath a massive rock in the desert town of Coahuila, Mexico, about 50 miles south of the Texas border. With its 150-foot dome-shaped rock formation, the Hernandez dwelling looks like a mushroom-shaped house out of Alice in Wonderland. It took Hernandez 20 years to buy the land, but as soon as he did, he and his wife constructed a sun-dried brick house beneath the impressive rock formation. Inside the abode, simple furniture is arranged on the dirt floors. There is a wood-burning stove, fresh drinking water from the nearby mountain, and electricity, although spotty, and only works sometimes. Hernandez had been coming to this sanctuary under the rock since he was a little boy. He kept coming back to visit it for 20 years until he could stake his claim to it. Eventually, Hernandez and his wife raised 7 children at their rock house. Cement factory conversion. By far, one of the most impressive conversions ever is this former cement factory in Barcelona, Spain. The abandoned factory was discovered by architect Ricardo Bofill in 1973. The structure was partially in ruins, some of it had been demolished, and only 8 out of its original 30 silos remained. The raw structure needed much work, and La Fábrica, as it is now known, is still a work in progress to this day. The interior has been created into a modern living space. Each room has its own purpose, and no 2 rooms are alike. The kitchen and dining area are the central points for the family, and several spots around the property, both indoors and out, are designated for leisure and relaxing. The property also hosts the studios for the architect and his team. Once a source of horrible pollution during World War II, the raw structure of La Fábrica is now just the opposite. Lush with vegetation, greenery, grass, and even olive trees. The Pole House, Australia. Located in Victoria on the southeastern tip of Australia, overlooking the Bass Strait, stands the Pole House. Which is exactly that. It's a house that sits on top of a 43-foot tall pole. It overlooks the Great Ocean Road and provides a spectacular panoramic view of the water in a very unusual way. The land where the Pole House is built is on a steep hillside above the water, so there is no way to access it at the top of that pole. So there is a narrow, vertigo-inducing walkway that connects the house to the steep hill. The walkway is literally the only way to reach the house. The house itself, perched atop that pole, is diamond-shaped. The entrance is a corner, and the opposite corner offers a giant vista of the water in every direction. The walls of glass that face the water are retractable, allowing a pleasant sea breeze to flow through the house. The bedroom also faces the water, and the simple dining room and kitchenette are set back behind the pole in the center of the house. Yet, they still afford excellent views. Impressed? You can rent it for your next vacation. The Pole House is listed as one of Australian Traveller magazine's Great Australian Holiday Homes for Rent. Flintstones House. Legendary American television host Dick Clark commissioned this wacky house in Malibu, California, inspired by the comedy cartoon series The Flintstones. The house is built on a 23-acre site next to the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreational Area. The National Parks area originally objected to Clark building a home on the property. So the clever architect, Philip John Brown, proposed building a house that looked like a rock formation to appease the preservationists and to not disturb the natural environment. The idea worked. The house looks like a giant rock from the outside and a Flintstone set on the inside. Everything in the house is made to look like it's made of stone with uneven surfaces and a very organic feel. The Flintstones house provides gorgeous views of sunsets over the Pacific Ocean and 360-degree views of the water and the mountains. It was built for the Clark family to escape the noise and lights of the city of Los Angeles and to offer seclusion and privacy while still being close to the beach and the mountains. In 2012, 1 month prior to Dick Clark's death, the house was put up for sale. His widow, Kari Clark, eventually sold the home for a very reasonable $1.7 million, half of the original asking price. It sold almost 3 years after it was originally listed. Egg-shaped house. The Belgian architect firm DMVA created a small living structure shaped like an egg. It's called the Blob VB3, and it's more of a mobile home than a permanent one. It's a white oval unit primarily constructed of polyester. It includes a kitchen, bathroom, a bed, lots of built-in modular shelving units for storage, and plenty of natural lighting that is reflected and dispersed by the curved ceiling. The nose of the egg swings open, creating a very odd front porch. The architects designed the egg house as an extension of an office building for a company called X Factor Agencies. The egg-shaped mobile home is easily transportable and can be used as a guest room or an office. They call it an experimental structure design for a mobile contemporary minimalistic lifestyle, which seems just like a fancy way of saying weird trailer home. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we want to know which one of these was your favorite unusual